I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks.
And if the clerk could please help us with a roll call.
Davish Yakine,
Here.
Devereaux,
Here.
Green,
Present.
Lewis, McKinney, Robinson, present, Schwartz.
Here.
Okay. And if we can move forward to item 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any support?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Devereaux. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Moving to citizen participation. If each citizen could keep their comments to 3 minutes or less, please share your name with the group and come join us at the podium. Citizen participation is relegated to items that are on the agenda. And at the end of our agenda, we have separately pleas and petitions, which is open to any item of concern, issue, or just something that's inspiring you today. So if anyone would like to come up and join us, we'd be happy to hear you.
Good evening. My name is Letitia Lamel Sharp, and I'm a resident of Ypsilanti Township, and I'm also the Washtenaw County Treasurer. So this is in no of official business, but just to say hello, and wanted to present myself to you and let you know that the Washtenaw County Treasurer's Office is here to support you in any way that we possibly can. And I wanted to say hello and just put my face with names. A lot of these faces are very familiar to me. But I just want you to know I'm here to help whenever I can, okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name's Tom Freeman. I live in Dixboro. I'm just here. One of your items near the end of the agenda is the annual permit application for the Dixboro Farmers Market. We did turn the application packet in. It was largely complete. I'm not sure we had an insurance certificate at that time because our insurance cycle starts May 1st. I've got a copy that I can leave at the end of the meeting, but just here in case there are any questions about our application, we're excited. This is going to be our 14th season for the farmers market, and we're looking forward to serving the community. And again, any questions, happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman.
I am Mrs. Mohammed, a resident of Superior Township, and I wanted to talk about a couple of things. The first is the financial report. I was looking at the fund report, the general fund report. The first account on there is the Chase 5503 daily operating for checking. And I went back, I looked at the report that's in the board packet, which has a balance in that account of 1.1 million. When I looked at the same time period, February 29th, 2024, on a report that was prepared March 2024, the balance is $180,000. There's a $900,000 discrepancy. I'd like to know what that is, because what happens is that makes your reports not credible as they're not consistent. And as a board reviewing these reports, you should have caught this and ask questions. Your fiscal ineptness continues to put this township in a dangerous position, and you still have been unable to provide me with a deficit number. Nobody knows what it is. The second thing is the supervisory report. The last line of your report said this property is in receivership, and you were referring to Sycamore Meadows. And it was interesting that that's one line and you didn't elaborate on what that means for the residents. I'd like you to do that. I think the residents should know that if that property is sold to someone who decides to not keep it as affordable housing, what happens to them? So I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about that. And finally, the members of the board have seemed to forgotten that when residents get up to speak, we are your employers. That means when we are speaking, we get your undivided attention. At the special board meeting, 3 residents spoke, which was a total of 9 minutes. 1 resident went over, so I'll say 10 minutes. Trustee Schwartz crossed his arms and looked at the ceiling and then pulled out his phone while residents were speaking. Treasurer Lewis flipped through her binder and also scrolled on her phone while residents were speaking. Trustee McKinney talked with the clerk's staff sitting next to her while residents were speaking. Check the video. If you want to keep that seat that you're sitting in, I would encourage you to pay attention to us because we are paying attention to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Martha Kern Beaupre. I live in the Oak Brook subdivision and I'm a park commissioner, and I'm just speaking tonight to support the Dixboro Farmers Market. Several of the park commissioners have independently voiced their support through emails amongst each other, and I just wanted to convey that to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerry Clifton. I live at 8692 Pine Court over in Superior Township. And here I got a couple of things I'd like to know. Morris Concrete Solutions, did he work for the township or was he working on his own? He did 3 sidewalks at my house, which I paid him $900, and he did my driveway and had some issues with the work. I finally ran him down. He came by the house, looked at it and said he would be back, and I haven't seen him since. So did he work for the township? Can anybody find that out for me? Still can't get a hold of him. He don't show up no more. The other thing is, I've been going through some issues with one of the drains, well, 2 of the drains right on Stevenson, which I know one day you was out there, Ken, and you asked me about the grass up there, but that when the water backs up, it runs all the way across that sidewalk into my basement. And I can't remember what year it was. I think you guys paid me something like $9,000 or between $7,000 and $9,000 because my whole basement floods up. Now, the problem that we got is those 2 trees that sit there, and those 2 drains pick up most of the water when it comes down Pine Court because of the way it is, no drains. So now normally I gets out there and open up the drain all the time and pick up the sticks. But from those 2 trees, when those limbs fall down, it backs up the drain. I went over to the road commission and gave them a layout of all what I'm talking about. They said they looked into it and they sent me another, said they closed it out. The other piece is about the sidewalks over there where it's Cedar and Stevenson. I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, they did some work and they never ever finished the sidewalk for the curb. People that's got problems with walking, riding in a motorized, cannot even get up that side. So I like to get that back on the issue.
If you're comfortable, sir, if you could leave your information with the clerk staff, I'll follow up with you this week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mary Burton, Utility Department. I wanted to speak to the board regarding the Utility Department, the hiring freeze, how it is affecting the department in a very negative way. We are understaffed, and it is crippling our department. And I want to appeal to you to reconsider so that the utility department can move forward. With us not having the billing specialist and residential liaison position. The workload is falling on the other billing specialists. And now that we don't have anyone officially doing the accounting, that work has to be done. And then I'm going through a family crisis and I'm out, till further notice. And it's really, really affecting my department. Additionally, the maintenance department is down. We have one person that is on workman's comp because he was injured on the job and has not returned to work yet. We also have another maintenance member who just had a new addition to his family. So we're working on skeleton crews right now with the utility department. We've never had this happen before, and I really feel that the freeze, we can't move forward, we can't get anything in place. There are quite a few things that are coming up in the future, very near future, that are going to need to be done, and it's going to fall on the utility department to still make those deadlines and so forth. So I just really would appeal to you to please reconsider this. We were approved originally to have another maintenance worker to come on this year because we did have a person that is planning to retire. So like I said, it's putting a lot of stress on the workers. I have one part-time person in the office, and then the utility clerk is full-time, but they do not know any of the billing, any of that. And because of separation of duties, we don't intertwine those positions. So I really hope that you will help the utility department. The hiring freeze has affected us more so than any other department. And it is really crippling us. And I'm just appealing to you to please reconsider everything. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Burton.
Yes, Jack Smiley. I live on Cherry Hill Road. And I noticed in the minutes from last meeting that there was a temporary deed restriction allowed for the Garrett space. And as a temporary measure, I think that's fine, but I just want to encourage you not to make that a permanent restriction. Conservation easements are much preferable. In fact, that's why they are so popular now, because deed restrictions don't stand the test of time. And if conservation is placed on the property, I think the township should hold a secondary right to enforce that easement as well. And I would think either Legacy Land Conservancy or Southeast Michigan Land Conservancy would be adequate holders of that easement. And also I noted in considering the urban services district, I've been very concerned about the pace and the amount of development that's happening in Superior Township. I think more development is going to put more financial strain on this township because it costs so much more to service that than they bring in taxes. So I'd hope we'd take a closer look at how we could maybe protect more land south of Gettys. I don't think south of Gettys should be sacrificed. There's a lot of people there and they need open space too. And I think in the long run, or maybe the short run, we need to look at our planning consultants. They're very nice people, but I think they're very pro-development. And personally, I think they have a very strong conflict of interest because they are the planners for Salem Township. So just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brenda Baker, Ashton Court. Two items I'd like to speak to you about. First one is the Committee to Promote Superior Township. Our monthly update to you, our infographic is in your packet on page 130 out of 364. And they're also available on the table back there for the audience. what we've been up to for the last month or so. Without getting into a long litany of things, we're heavily involved in the spring roadside cleanup. And I also wanted to mention something that's not reflected in the infographic, and that is, but it has been brought up a couple of times here, that the Dixboro Farmers Market will be starting soon. And again, we will have our information booth like we had last year. But this year we are trying to enlist guest staffers who will work in the booth and interact with the public, and we're hoping some of our public officials might take advantage of that. You'll be given a kind of a cheat sheet of frequently asked questions, so you can field some of the questions that will come your way. The setup and takedown would be done by me, so you wouldn't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. But it would be a chance to get the public visiting the farmers market a different point of view. Because I'm the only one there, and so they things that I know a lot about, I can share a lot about, and things that I don't know much about, I'm less helpful. So that would be maybe a win-win mutual opportunity for, I hope that some of you will consider. Item number 2. On the agenda, number 12B, ordinance number 197, Urban Service District, first reading. I was stunned to see this on the agenda. I had no idea this was under consideration. And it is an ordinance. All you have to do is have 4 of you to go along with it in first reading, second reading, put it in the books. But because this is such a dramatic change to something that has been an underpinning of the township for 50-ish years and has served us well, now that things change. But I think that it would be, even though you don't have to, I would encourage you to allow for additional public input, more time to study the details and the possibilities, and inform the public what's driving this. Is this some residents that want this, or is this a developer that wants this? Because I think I'm pretty emotional about it. Anyway, I'm blindsided by it, and I think a lot of your longtime residents are going to be blindsided by it. And I would encourage you to take it a little slower and perhaps reconsider it at another meeting after communicating more with the public.
I look forward to you hearing our discussion on this issue, and I hope it's not what you think. Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay.
Good evening, board, and I like your sign.
It's very nice.
My name is Golden. Get this on. Okay. My name is Irma Golden. I live at 1585 Sheffield Drive. Let me begin by saying I just want better. Every time that I come to these meetings, I come because I care. And when I speak up, it's because I care. I live south of Gettys, and personally, I feel south of Gettys has been ignored for a long time. It's been neglected. I did send the board, I'm not going to go over it, a email regarding blight. And in it, I included a lot of pictures. And each one of those pictures were on main roads. I did not go into the neighborhoods. I was on main roads, taking the pictures, and each one of them have been over 10 years of neglect. I submitted the pictures that depict long-standing residential blight issues, properties located off the main roads. One of the things that I did not too long ago when I was deputy supervisor, I asked our ordinance officer about a property, and he told me that the former supervisor told him it was commercial. I came into the office, and within 2 minutes, I found out that it was residential property. This property happens to sit on a corner that I pass by every day. And then he also said to me, what's the use of sending a letter? Because that's what we do. We send a letter if there's no backup, if there's nothing else, if there's no other teeth in it. When we talk about roads, I always have to think about Stevens Drive. And the reason I think about Stevens Drive is because the residents on Stevens Drive it was at least 8 to 10 years, they came in here meeting after meeting begging for speed bumps. Everybody knows about it because when they finally got them, they got a standing ovation. However, it was delayed. That's not this board's fault. There's certain people's fault. It was delayed. However, in 2023, In Tanglewood, they had the red carpet. They were invited to the township. The road commission came, and shortly after that, they received signs. They received approval for the speed humps, and they also had repaving. Jerry Clifton, the leader, was told to go to the board meeting. He went to the board meeting, and someone after the board meeting pulled him to the side and said, "The problem is not the road commission. The problem is your supervisor." And the only reason I bring this up is because so many things have been blocked. When I tried to talk about another resident that wanted a speed study on Geddes Road, it didn't happen. It got blocked. But I know you had a concern about Plymouth Road, and it's going to happen. When I found out, when I was being berated about that, I found out that day that Tanglewood was going to get speed humps. And I can say to you, and to this day, it still hurts, that I was talking to Ken, and Ken said,
Ms.
they're
Golden, we're
white
at
and
time.
rich. But Washington Square, it's just some of everything.
Thank you for
Okay,
your
I'm out of time,
comments.
but I will finish at the end.
Okay,
Thank you. I
thank
appreciate you.
Okay. Any comments online? Okay, seeing no further public comments, or citizen participation, I'd like to move to the supervisor's comments. And based on what I'm hearing, I just want to highlight a few things. Ms. Golden, you spoke to those blight issues, and coincidentally, the building inspector and I have been working on 2 of those properties together, and I've referred another one to the county sheriff's office. We started with conversations to not go about ticketing immediately, but I understand that blight does not belong anywhere in our community. Moving to looking at the sewerage ordinance and thinking about municipal infrastructure, I want to emphasize that while you're reading this ordinance, see it as an overlay to what our master plan and what our community desires in terms of development. We'll go into detail about the intention and the mechanisms associated with the ordinance, but the want is knowing that we have so much impending development surrounding our community, and particularly what will be moving forward likely soon in Salem Township, that there will be stresses on Superior Township to increase its development across the board. And the intention of the ordinance is to slow things down, to have another mechanism in place to call for certain parameters if we were to expand our water and sewerage. And then lastly, thank you for the comment about mentioning receivership. I shouldn't take for granted that that's a term that folks don't hear every day. And we're doing a lot of good work, working with HUD, working with MISHDA, with the Sycamore property in particular. For a little bit of update and background, I've been working directly with HUD, who is working with the courts as the property was pulled from its past owner, who is now in prison, and knowing that HUD has essentially taken over responsibilities with the courts and has assigned a new property management company, it provides us to pull in more resources from the federal government to bring the property up to code and to help influence who will purchase the property. So I'm working with folks both on the federal government side, keeping MISHDA apprised so that we don't see any bad actors come into the community once more, and working with the folks at Legal Services to collect data, to collect stories, so that both the tenants are protected, we're holding landowners accountable, and we're, exercising our ability to influence who comes in and takes over this property, and so that they will be respectful to our community. So with that, I'd like to close and move forward to presentations where we do not have any. And then moving to our consent agenda, and under tab A, is there a motion for approval of minutes?
Well, we're gonna approve it one by one, or just want to approve the whole consent agenda at one?
No, let's do approval of minutes by
Okay.
themselves, please.
I'll move the minutes
From March 17th.
for March 17th.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Is there a motion for the April 8th special meeting to approve the minutes?
I'll move the April 8th special meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, if you're comfortable, I'd like to take B as one report to receive and file. Is there a motion on the table?
Wait, I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Sure, I was just trying to move things along.
Yeah, no problem.
I wanted to take B reports as a full item and see if there's a motion on the table to receive and file.
So I will move item B 1 through 4.
Okay,
Support.
all in favor?
Lisa?
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. All right, moving to communications, I would like to pull item 4, and if our attorney could join us for a moment, I'd appreciate that. Is there support?
Yes, support.
Thank you. Mr.
Good evening.
Lucas. So we were I was taking a look, and the board's been taking a look at a letter regarding trustee Schwartz.
You made the motion.
Mhm.
Just want to make sure.
With the motion, and trustee Devereaux supported me. And I simply wanted to be open to have a public understanding of this issue. Does the board have any sort of responsibility or any sort of investigative responsibility related to the claims in the letter?
No. In fact, as I've tried to make clear to everybody, this board really doesn't have any ability to take any action against any board member. Absent, you have to go to the governor to get somebody removed from the board. So there's really nothing for the board to do relative to this item. It is not a matter that the board would have any involvement in. If there's any criminality or anything of that nature, should be referred to the police, but I don't see any basis for this board to take any action on that item at all.
Okay, thank you for your advice. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, I'm seeing none. That's all I wanted to discuss with
We have
you.
a vote on.
This.
We have to have a vote, don't we?
Yep, we have to have can we have a vote to receive and file the letter to the board regarding trustee Schwartz?
Well, all of them, right?
Or I think I
For the-
took that one separately, so.
Yep. Have to do that one.
Is there a
Davish?
motion?
I'm sorry?
A motion to receive and file line item 4 under communications?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And now taking communications 1, 2, 3, and 5, is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So I'm going to move to unfinished business. And we have ordinance number 169, which we've already had a discussion about at a past meeting, article number 3. It's the Yucca Sewer Service related ordinance, and this is the second reading.
Move the resolution.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay. Shall we take a roll call?
Dabish Akine,
Aye.
Devereaux,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Lewis. McKinney, absent. Robinson? Yes. Schwartz?
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance passes. Moving to new business, ordinance number 196, rental housing certification, first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion or a wish to vote straight away? We did have a discussion 2 months ago in depth. I know this is something that we're all very excited about, to support rental properties within our community and making sure that we are holding landowners accountable across the board in all multifamily dwellings and rental properties. Ms. Devereaux?
Yeah, I'd love to, I know you have a email on the table
Yes.
for us to look at related to this resolution.
Sure.
And it looks like, or ordinance, and it looks like the recommendation was for us to decide whether or not we wanted to include additional language
Yep.
around immediate family members renting in a primary residence.
Yep. So to give a little bit of background, um, Mike Radzik from Carlisle Wortman has been working with us to put this program and plan together. And I had a conversation with Trustee Devereaux earlier regarding the ordinance, and she presented a scenario. Would this ordinance apply to a family member who is renting out a room from a grandparent, a mom, an aunt, or, renting out somebody's basement, something of that nature? And I did share that with the gentleman who's been working with us on this ordinance. And he believes that if we're all in favor of supporting this minor adjustment, that we could amend one of the definitions for rental unit for the second reading.
Do you have copies of that? Do you have a copy?
I gave a verbal and I printed a copy out for Ms. Devereaux.
Oh,
But generally, I think it's a great idea and it was something I hadn't considered.
Yeah, my intention with bringing it up is just that, whatever we can do to make it easier for people to help their family when they have a need. We had a situation in my family where we had a family member living with us for 6 months and he just did not feel comfortable not contributing something to the household. But we certainly were not creating a rental unit as a result of that.
Is there a second for support?
So,
Mr. Green?
So I'm sorry, are we making an amendment now, or is that something to be done on the second reading or prior to the second reading?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I would suggest that we ask the clerk's team to make that amendment now, and then we'll include it for the second reading because it's so minor and it would be a part of the definitions.
Okay. Madam Clerk, what's your thoughts on it?
as far as,
Having your team add the language in today, or right now, because it's minor language?
I would prefer that they add it before the second reading,
Great.
but have it come from Carlisle, not us adding it to the,
Okay. Or however they want to take note that we made that decision tonight. Sound good?
So as far as like, just a point of order, is there a motion on the floor currently to add that language?
Ms. Stavro, did you make the motion?
I did not.
Okay, so,
Would you like to?
Sure. So motion to add language defined by Carlisle Wortman Associates to make it so that an owner occupied home in which the owner is helping an immediate family member by allowing them to live there, even if they're paying some rent, will be exempt from the goodness, let's see here. Yes, from 196. Is there a second?
okay, yeah, I'm happy to second, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So they're not adding the language tonight, they're gonna add the language prior to the next.
Yeah, prior to the
prior
second
to the
reading.
second reading.
Sorry.
I just want a record of us supporting this
Yeah,
change.
a second.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Shall we call the vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Dabish Akine,
Aye.
Devereaux,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Lewis,
Yes.
McKinney, absent, Robinson, yes, Schwartz,
Yeah.
Moving to ordinance number 197, Urban Service District, first reading. I'm anticipating Mr. Lucas's guidance on describing the technical aspects of the ordinance. But in short, I've been working with our planning consultants, Carlisle Wortman, our engineers at OHM, and Mr. Lucas, knowing that candidly, the Salem development is imminent and may very likely come quite close to our borders. However, it will not actually encroach on township property. And practically speaking, knowing that proximity makes development easier to attain and respecting what the public wanted to put forth in our master plan, which was released last year. This ordinance is intended to be an additional safeguard to managing where our urban service district boundary is and maintaining the integrity of our master plan. But Mr. Lucas, could you illustrate it further, please?
Well, the thing that kind of surprised me during the public comment section was people commenting that this was in some way going to facilitate additional growth. And the answer is it's exactly the opposite. The purpose of this ordinance is not to facilitate additional growth, but in fact to prevent additional growth by saying that the urban service district is not going to be expanded absent exigent circumstances. In other words, just because someone wants to develop is not an exigent circumstance. And that is in fact the purpose of this ordinance, is not to expand development, but to make sure it does not expand beyond the areas where we've identified in our master plan for expansion. So that was, as I read the ordinance, that was the upshot from me. I don't know what anybody who could read in that would say that we're trying to expand the urban service district, because we're not. I mean, in fact, as I said